Dude, this podcast, first of all, I created a iHeartRadio podcast called Pod Crashing because I want listeners to be introduced to podcasts. So to have you on this show and all the other podcasts that I do is just amazing because you are doing what podcasting is supposed to be about. You're educating. You're unveiling something that most of us do not know happened. And more importantly, you're teaching us to watch what we're doing today so it doesn't happen again.
Thank you. Yes, you get it. Absolutely. That's exactly.
To have that vision, though, right there in the very beginning, what was it that led you to this? Because so many times when you talk with other podcasters, they go, well, I don't know what I want to talk about. Well, Kurt, you know what you want to talk about.
Thank you. Yes. I actually, a little over 2.5 years ago, I met one of the detectives on the case. And actually, it was traveling in LA, and I thought she was an incredible person and had this great story. And, she was like, oh, I'm a retired detective. And I actually was on this case that's pretty big going on over, and I was like, wait, what? Mm-hmm. And as soon as I heard about the case and Cecilia Steyn, and I was hooked. And I said, I think this is in some medium, a great series or a great show, and I would love to talk to you more. And so then I just kind of went down the rabbit hole with her and learned about the case and learned about all the different characters and the people. And, through the pandemic, basically built my idea of a television series and, in a show. And then was fortunate enough to meet who's one of the co-writers, Jennifer Cicchini, and she took a heavy interest in this, in the project, and said, hey, like, what do you think about doing more of a podcast series initially, like an audio documentary kind of narrative style? And I said, that sounds great. Let's go to South Africa.
Yeah, because that to me is theater of the mind. And I think that's one of the reasons, like, when I'm in the car and I'm listening to it, it's like, my God, you've got my attention here. And because many times, you go so far and you tap out, but you can't tap out of this.
No, that's great to hear. Thank you so much. That I'm stoked to actually hear you say that because it was something that you hopefully can connect. You can connect that I had been researching and passionate about this and passionate about the story and understanding it and peeling back the layers and wanting to get to South Africa to interview the detectives and the journalists and even the people around the cult and the incarcerated. So, that was something, understanding the story from every angle was super important to me. So I think the podcast medium, like you said, is really fascinating and exciting because people are able to kind of multitask. They can clean, they can drive, they can work out, and it's so much so much easier than even sitting down to watch an hour, or 2-hour program.
What's so funny about that, Kurt, is that the other day I was on the outside of Walmart, because they have Walmart radio. It's not music anymore. It's people talking. And my wife goes, why do they do that? I said, because it's a podcasting world.
Yep. Yeah, that's where it's going. Everybody and their mom is, will possibly take a listen because they can, they can do it at their convenience. Yeah. It's such a fascinating medium.
Now, Kurt, here's the thing, because we always deal with cults in America, where somebody's always being accused of cults, and you sit there and you always have the naysayers. Do the team that you guys put together, was it based on, okay, we have all the facts, or is it, hey, let's go dig in and see if we can get the facts?
It was let's dig in for sure.
Yeah.
Because we only had so many perspectives, and there were only, granted, there's tons and tons of articles online and, different things. And we were lucky enough to connect with one of the court reporters who wrote a book, and she was great. And her name's Yana Marks, and she wrote the Krugersdorp cult killings. She was great in this, but we went and talked to everybody, and I wanted to meet everybody that I could. And it was great because when we got there, it was like the people around the case kind of knew and heard that we were there. So I think we started with only 10 interviews, and then we ended up with 20.
Wow.
So because I just wanted to meet anybody and everybody who was around to get their perspective on absolutely everything, so that we had this well-rounded perspective. Even at times, it's like the he said, she said, which you'll see as the series evolves.
Yeah.
Of the different characters.
Wow.
Because there were so many different things from inside the police unit to, the stuff that was going on with Electus Per Deus.
Yeah. I got to be transparent here. Being one who trusts in the spiritual guidance, this is what got my attention in a really huge way. Cecilia was on a mission to change the agenda. Her goal was to fight Satan instead of praising God. Now, me, I'm going, oh, hell yeah, I'm in that fight. I feel like that I could have been a part of this cult because I want to fight the big dude.
That's great, man. I appreciate your enthusiasm. I mean, that was what was so, as a spiritual person myself, man, it's definitely something that I was so like, oh my gosh, this woman is going into these, Wednesday night or Sunday groups and using this, I'm an ex-Satanist, and I'm an expert and here's all my knowledge. And she helped write this huge pamphlet and put together this thing on research and stuff about how to fight Satanism, and gained everybody's trust about her knowledge. And then as soon as people wanted to, almost it's like you have the 4-part series or something at a church. And then as soon as they wanted to switch gears, after a few months and go into a different direction, she was not having it. She liked the attention. And she liked kind of the power and the leverage, and she was able to meet people. As we're all humans are broken and vulnerable at different times. They like purpose and identity, and with her silver tongue and knowledge of the culture, the country, spirituality, she knew what she was doing.
Does she qualify as a self-proclaimed witch?
Yeah, I mean, she was, but I mean, was it just a part of her ruse?
Right.
You know what I mean? To get her foot in the door and to gain trust that she was this expert, in the evil, dark world. Or is, she really this involved, as involved as she was, in Satanism, or was it all just a part of her, her tale? God, she told them.
I wish I could have been a part of your meeting when somebody came in there, and it was probably you. You go, look, guys, this is still being operated from prison. I would have just went, what? You got to be kidding me! It's for that to happen is just that's power.
Yeah, and I mean, and I really hope that there isn't anything going on, but you don't know,
right?
How deep the connections go. And with people like Cecilia, and who she knows, and what kind of power she has over people.
Yeah.
So, and that's what's kind of scary and fascinating at the same time.
When people are hitting Google or searching for this podcast, which is called Queen Havoc, the thing is that they're going to read about, it's the Charles Manson of South Africa. Did Charles ever kill anybody? And now I have to bring up the question: did Cecilia ever kill anybody, or should we just wait and find out on the podcast?
Well, I mean, you should definitely wait and find out.
Yeah.
But ultimately, there's a reason we're able to say that. I will hint at that. There's a reason we're able that she is the female Manson, is because of that interesting mystery about how she did her dealings. Very similar to Manson. So and that was part of the initial fascination as well, with Cecilia. So like I said, I mean, as you go through the series and audiences take it in, it's I think as each layer is uncovered, it's hard to believe, that these that she was able to do what she did with these people.
When you go in and do research like this, it's about dedication, loyalty, and determination. And that also means you have to have an openness with the universe. Were you visited by anybody whose life was taken? Did somebody come and visit you at night? Did they knock on your heart during the day while you were driving?
It's more of just, it's more of, when I got into obviously meet Cecilia and her right-hand woman, Miranda, Miranda did I think she killed 5 of the victims, and that was amongst the darkest evil I've probably been around in my life. Being a foot away from her, and speaking with her, and she was very, she was very kind and polite to me, and gave me time and answered my questions and stuff, but still the way she spoke about murder and taking lives and these things was very, very intense and very dark.
You had to have had mental help after that. There's no way that you can sit in front of a murderer like that and not, have to, dude, I got to go talk to somebody right now because this is too heavy for my heart.
Oh yeah, absolutely. You got to have someone to talk about, these things with, and it's definitely something that it's just with a heavy heart. I this is the darkest material, darkest story that I've ever approached, but I think it was because of the way that I've been around a lot of different spirituality in my life, and I've read the Bible. I know it. I know the kinds of people that are around this world. So, I felt I was equipped or even tapped on the shoulder, as difficult as it was in a way, to go after this story.
See, I love stories like that. When you pull from your own studies and you've been called to do this. I mean, everything that I'm hearing today is that it's like I knew there had to be some sort of a spiritual connection to this. And when you're called to it, that means those stories, those verses from that book are going to become a part of your life, and you're going to compare notes from what happens in the book to how you're going to lead in your present place of now.
Correct. Absolutely. 100%, and it's not, and I wanted to, even though this is Hollywood and my job is storytelling, I want it to be, and I hope it comes off and is clear to the audience, and just how, the amazing team that I worked with, put together the podcast, with me is that, a sensitivity towards this really happened, and this is really dark, and this is, I don't take this lightly. I guess I wanted to be very careful of not necessarily making this. I wanted it to be more honest and documentarian kind of style, and peeling things and learning things rather than just over the top sensationalism. How did
you keep it so simple in the way that all listeners can tap in when you yourself, you could have easily gone the route of Paul and turned these into daily lessons and affirmations? Do you know what I mean by that?
I think I do, but if you want to maybe give me another sentence about what to clarify.
You went to hell, dude. You went to hell, and you're going to make sure other people do not go back to hell, but you were in hell.
Correct. Yeah, man. It's, but when you've got this little light of mine, I'm going to let it shine. I guess to be, to quote that. And that's like I said, there's certain stories and certain moments, even in my past, that I felt I was supposed to tell. You'll like a film, one of my first feature films called 1/10 of a Second. I think you'll really like that film. It's on a few platforms, but it's a man's journey. And it's got, an interesting spiritual twist 2x in. But there's certain stories that, I was compelled, that, thank God that I met the detective at the right time.
Right.
And, it's just kind of one of those things where as scary as it was, I've always been taken care of. So I thought I should go in, like you said, to the dark places.
When we came across that part where you met the reporter, I don't want to stick on the Bible here, but when you met the girl, to me, right away I went, oh, that's Jesus meeting the woman at the well. Jesus is going to talk to somebody he shouldn't be talking to. Do you not feel that?
I mean, I see the comparison, but I will say that whether people want to believe that JC is a teacher or the son of God,
right?
The man's empathy was so admirable, and it was just overwhelming and powerful. And I try to always look at people through that lens.
I love it.
Of empathy.
So
no matter how dark of a world they come from.
This is going to be ongoing, right? This isn't over. So how is it that you're going to do this in seasons? Listeners because listeners are finally starting to understand it's not over with in 1, 2, 3, that you participate with all the seasons. Is that how you're going to grow with this?
Well, we're doing this is a series that's going to be I believe 10 and a bonus or 11 episodes. So we're rolling out, we've got 4 coming out on Tuesday, and then we've got another 7 more weeks, I think. So that this is going to roll out over the summer, with these episodes.
Wow.
So, so I will say though, this might be just the beginning. I've got another project of a detective who's a close friend in South Africa that involves some pretty dark cases and dark crimes, but that's going to be more of I think a case of the week per episode thing. But yeah, this is a very interesting path that I've been brought on, but I'm kind of going along for the ride. And feeling, very blessed and excited, actually, that, like you said, when we started this, it's more about the themes that struck me. How does the evil do this? How, evil people, selfish people do this, and most of all, to educate people, like, hey, nobody has ironclad, surface. Yeah. Everybody has, a longing to belong. Wow. And a need for purpose and identity. And I think nobody's too rich, too powerful, too cool. Everybody goes through it. I've met everything from millionaires to the broke, and they all literally deal with their own demons and their own issues. And you meet the wrong person at the wrong time of your life, and it could take you down a very dark road.
Man, what a heart you've got. Kurt, you got to come back to this show anytime in the future. The door is always going to be open for you.
Hey, thank you so much. Yeah, I definitely want to check this interview out. So please get us the information on where we can, listen to it.
Absolutely. Well, you be brilliant today, okay?
Hey, you too. Thanks a lot.